Hello everyone, Gayatri here from handmadeby.g3.com. Welcome. Today I am sharing a tutorial on how to use Copic colors on negative die cuts and to create a background using them. This is the first card I made and a tutorial was requested for it. So I decided to make a similar card using the exact same techniques I used to make the first one. For the first friend card, I used Simon Says Stamp's Big Friend die and the Hibiscus frame die. For the thanks card, that is the new one, I will be using Simon Says Stamp's Cosmo Flowers frame die and the Big Thanks die. I have speeded up the video as I am a very slow crafter. If I leave it in real time, the video is going to be extremely long. To start, I have trimmed Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock into 4 panels. I will be using 3 panels to die cut the Cosmo Flowers frame die and the 4th panel to make the background using the negative die cuts. After I die cut the white panel using the Cosmos Flower frame die, I turned the panel over and adhered purple tape to keep the negative die cuts in place. Although the tape keeps the negative die cuts in place to color, it is less tacky and I will be able to remove the negative die cuts later to glue them on the panel. I turn over the panel and remove the die. Some of the negative pieces are still stuck to the die, which I will remove and inlay them back on the panel. The colors I have chosen to color the flowers are the blue and the yellow Copic markers. I have tested them out on a scrap piece of paper. The shades I am using are B000, B00, B01, B02 and B04 for the blues, and Y02, Y04 and Y06 and Y08 for the yellows. I start with B000 on the inside of the petal and Y02 on the edges. Then, as one would color the Copic markers, I go from light to dark for both blue and the yellow color. Finally, I use the B00 and Y02 to blend the colors. I'm not being careful with my coloring here because I'm not going to be using the positive die cuts. I have colored 2 more die cuts similarly, so in all I have 3 colored die cut panels to use for my background. Then I remove the purple tape from the back of the panel with the negative pieces still stuck to it. 1 or 2 pieces that fall off, I stick it back in place. Using the positive die cut as a guide and placing it at an angle on the background panel, I glue and inlay the negative pieces back in place. Once I complete one flower, I put some acrylic blocks and let the glue dry. I walk away to do some other work and come back after a few minutes to remove the guide die cut. By the way, the background panel is trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4 inch. Using second and the third colored die cuts, I repeat the same process to cover the entire background panel. This takes time, but after the first one, I got the hang of it and the process became a bit more easier. An alternate method to using glue is to use the stick it adhesive on the white panel before die cutting them. Then the negative pieces will become stickers and easier to inlay them back in place. Here is the panel fully covered with the colored negative die cuts. I trim off the overhangs using scissors. I already love how this panel turned out. I left out the center of the flowers as the dots were very tiny. I will be using Nuvo crystal drops to fill in them later on. To add shimmer, I brushed these colored die cuts or petals with Nuvo clear shimmer pen. To make the sentiment, I am using the scrap piece of white cardstock below the positive die cut panel. I like to make use of every tiny piece of leftover cardstock. I'm sure many of us do the same thing. Anyway, I use the same Copic color markers I used for the flowers and blend them on this scrap piece of cardstock. I go from light to dark shades on both blue and yellow markers and blend them in the middle. Then I use the big thanks die from Simon Says stamp to die cut the sentiment. I love how this die cut thanks coordinate with the colors on the flowers. To make this die cut pop out of the background and not blend with the background, I die cut the backer thanks die, big thanks die, using Simon's black glitter cardstock. Then I glue the thanks die cut on top to create the sentiment. The card base is Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. I mounted the background panel on the white card base using foam tape. Then I added tiny strips of foam tape to the back of the sentiment die cut and adhered the sentiment on the bottom center of the background panel. Now I fill the flower centers with Nuvo white crystal drops. Some drops are big, some are small, some are tiny. That creates interest and texture to the flower centers. I also brush clear shimmer on the thanks die cut. Here are the two cards side by side. I still feel I need to add the clear droplets on the thanks card, so I added a few clear droplets on the thanks card to complete the card. Here are both the cards together. I will leave you with the pictures of the new card. Hope you enjoyed my tutorial. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. All the supplies I used to make this card are listed below in the description box. Visit my blog for more details and close-up photos. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.